to another video. Today we are doing some Reborn assembly. I have been asked to do some more videos around making Reborns as opposed to sharing my personal collection, which I'm all too happy to do. Today we're going to do assembly with this wee baby here. This is the Akina sculpt by Adri Stote. It's one of the mix and match ones. She is now named Gemma. She is for my sister, and so we're going to get her ready. I also am making up the second doll, but I won't be putting her head on. This is Sakura. She is the Kamiko sculpt by Tasha Edenholm, and I'm currently putting hair on her, as you can see. So I'm going to get the rest of her ready, so her limbs and her body all sorted, so when she is done I can just pop her head on and get her ready for photos and then out the door. So today we're going to work on getting some weight into these babies and assembled on their bodies, the main focus being Gemma. So we'll start with Gemma's limbs. I've got them all set over to here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, and I've got a container here. I'm just going to put Gemma over here. A container here full of glass beads. I normally do all my assembly over at my glass bead container because they go everywhere, and it's just easier over there, but there is no way that I can film that, so today for this video I will be doing it here. So I'm just going to put this in here and start putting in weight. It all depends on the baby where you kind of put that. I'm not going to do a tutorial about how to do this. I have in the past. I will link that video on the screen and in the iCard and also in the description below for you all. But I tend to just put a couple in at a time. I know you can't really see because my hand's in the way, and then just tap around to make sure that there's no air bubbles, there's no spots where there's no weight, because sometimes if you're not careful that does happen and you can have a gap in your stuffing, or your packing, whatever you want to call it, so that can be a problem. But for today's video I'm just going to get the limbs to where I feel I need them to be, and that's a good weight. This is for a younger person. I don't normally make Reborns for younger people, however my sister lives with me. She is autistic, and these dolls have greatly helped her, and she's pretty good with them, so that's why I made her a play doll. And today we're going to just get her ready for her. So I've got about that much, to about just around the knee tends to be where I fill to, and then I pack the rest in with polyfill. I know I said I wasn't going to do a tutorial, but here we are. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just stick it in. Sorry if this is not on camera, and my desk is banging against something, which is really annoying. There we go. I think we just need a little bit more. Done! One leg done. A whole bunch more to do. So that's exactly what I'm just going to keep doing. Filling them up and then packing them in the rest of the way with the polyfill. And then we'll move on to the next part. With arms you tend to only need about two or three, sorry I should say, scoops, and I don't know if you can see the beads. Probably not. Now they're about to here on her. Oh, you can see the difference in the vinyl. So yeah, and this baby does have a flaw, which is really frustrating, but that is really merely cosmetic, and another reason why I've given this kit to my sister, because I just don't feel comfortable selling that, and I had no idea that it was there until I pulled her out to make her. So some things just happen for a reason. This one I have overfilled, so I now need to tip some out because this is a 3/4 baby, so I need some room to put some stuffing. That's much better. Okay, it's at this point normally that I would have either done it beforehand, which I have in this case, or I would be doing now, and that would be putting gloss on things on the baby while I wait. If I have time to wait for something, like if I need to wait for something to arrive, or if I'm just doing two things at once, I tend to put the gloss on, then walk away and then come back. However, I've already done that. I did this the other day, and so she's already ready to go. So now the next step we have is her body here. I have already attached all the cable ties. We make our own bodies, so it's just one less thing that I need to worry about. So I'm just going to put Sakura's limbs over here so I don't mix them up, because that has happened in the past, even though I know which is which. If you're not paying enough attention, you can make a mistake like that. So I'm going to just simply attach the legs, and I'm just going to slip them in to that point. So over this line here, this is where the cable tie sits if you're not familiar with a body or how a kit goes together. And then I just hold it in place and pull. Some people like to be able to have the ability to move their legs around on their dolls. I personally like to stabilize the legs completely, because if you give it enough wiggle and you really want to change the position, you can, but if they're too loose, they tend to be really a pain for the body, and also just moving around, and then you can't grab the cable tie to you know, secure them a bit more. My clients just tend to prefer what I do, so I tend to secure them fully into place, but I don't do that right now. I tend to fill up the bottom of the body first and then do that. So I unfortunately have to change the camera angle. Let's see if we can do this fluidly. There we go. So I'm going to just stick it on my knee. I tend to find it just easier to do that, and then fill the bottom of the body up to get that tushy shape with the legs there. So as you can see, oh, we've got a leg falling off because it's too loose. So we'll just put that back on. 1 second, like so. Tighten it, and now it won't come off. So I've put some polyfill into, hang on. Okay, so I've put you up higher. I hope that's a little bit easier to see now. But like I was trying to say, is that I'm just forming that up a little bit by putting it on my lap, but now I don't really need to do that too much. I can just sort of sit it on the desk and just push things around to how I like them. And that will kind of give you the form of where your legs are going to sit. And I'm quite happy with where that leg is sitting right now, so I'm going to secure that into place. And then I'm going to look at this one here as well. And I'm going to be quite happy with that one as well. I have not tightened them to the point where I cannot move them once the baby is fully assembled, to see if if they're not in the place that I like when the baby is fully done. But for now I'm quite happy with that, and they will not come off while I'm working on this body. The other thing I'm going to do now is put on the arms. These will be able to be moved, and I like to test quite a few times, but I cannot test that until the baby is a bit more stuffed. And I cannot remember if I said in this part or not of the video, because I have done more than one take of this. My best friend is bringing me home some stockings. That is one thing that I did not have in the assembly kit, so I now need to wait for her to get back before I move any further on this baby. That will be seamless for you guys, though. I'll just simply continue the video on from there. But we'll just sit Gemma off to one side for now, and then we'll move on to quickly filling up the second body. I just threw a cable tie the wrong way, so I'll have to pick that up in a moment. So it's just the same story, except for this baby has 3/4 arms, so it has sockets, and we have to treat that differently than what we would over there. So we simply just need to attach our legs. These sockets are ginormous. There we go, one leg is on. And if you're aware, not aware of what body type you need for a doll, this one here tends to be called a 3/4 arm, 3/4 leg. However, with this body that we've created, we can make it a full leg, and you just need to have a front facing body for that, and so that's what this one is. It means the sockets are coming to the front of the body as opposed to the side. If the kit has like a slight hip detail, then you would use a true size body, which is something that would have them sitting a bit more to the side. But because this baby is front forward facing with the legs in a 3/4, that is what we put on this one as well. So now I'm going to show you how you do 3/4 arms. So that's this part up here. It has a cap, and then this arm is going to slot into there so then it can move around freely. What I need to do is put just a tiny bit of stuff in. You don't want to put too much in there because then they end up looking like they've got a football sort of arm to them. What is it? They were in those heavy football guards that go over their shoulders. I have no idea what the name of it is right now, but you just want it to be so it's not too puffy but not too empty either. You just want it to be nice so the arm just hangs there like that. So we've got that one into place, but I haven't tightened it yet. This one you can tighten right to the thing because your arm's going to move from the socket that's on here, not from here. But I want to make sure that when I go to tighten it, that I've got the arm in position against her body, and again I can't do that until she is fully assembled, so then I know where I want her arm to be, because it could come a little bit this way or it could go that way depending on how I want it to sit against her body. So we'll just put the other one on. That's nice. Stick it in. Oh, we've got a bit of fluff. Like so. Secure. And now we've got those two arms sitting there, ready to be repositioned when it's time to. So we just have to sit these two bodies up here. They will wait for me to come back and finish them off. That part of the video will be coming now. Okay, so we're going to move on now. I've got off to the side here my packed sacks. I've got them all organised. So let's get going. I'm going to start with Gemma first. And I'm going to have to turn the camera, I think. So the rest of the video will be done with a voiceover. I hope the microphone plays nicely and that it doesn't leave too much static in this video. I haven't used it in a while, but I'm going to explain what I do now. As you can see, I'm putting in a sack into the body that is full of the glass beads and just a stocking doubled over twice. I made a well with my fingers before I put that in, so it will sit nestled right into the stuffing that was already in there, and now I'm just going around it with polyfill and supporting it. I like to do 2 sacks. It's all down to personal preference as an artist. I found when I was doing the one long sack, the weight was just too much and would fall to the bottom of the baby over time. That's just my personal preference, and I've decided that it's a lot easier to have 2 sacks and separate them by some polyfill, so at least the one in the chest won't fall to the bottom once the baby is in use and all the stuffing has changed its place, because that's what happens with reborns over time. I will do a refresher video of what happens to reborns that you've had for some time in the future if you'd like to see that. But I just put in a second sack. I made sure to support that as well. Also under the arms, you want to make sure that they're not just hanging there and that they're proportioned with the rest of the body. And now I'm moving on to the head to stuff that as well. You don't want to overstuff your heads, but you don't want to understuff them either. It's a very fine balance. Some people like really thin bodies that are understuffed. It's down to the baby, it's down to the client, really what the needs are for that specific order. So it can change over time what you put in and how much you put in, but I do prefer to put a little bit more stuffing than not in the heads at least. Some people like to grab their babies by their faces just by chance. We're always moving their heads on their necks, and you have to grab onto that, and if there's not enough stuffing behind that to support the vinyl, there can be cracks that happen to the sealant if you're not careful. So I just prefer to stuff a little bit more into the head. It may look a bit excessive, but it's definitely worth it. So again, I put another sack in there. It's down to the baby once more. If I'm doing a toddler, I won't put any weights in there. The sack that goes into the head is greatly lighter than any of the sacks that I put into the body. You just want enough weight in there so the head can flop around naturally and realistically. Depending on the doll and client, is how much I put in of the weights into the head. Some people like their babies to be super floppy, so they have to support the head, so it's just like a real baby, and others don't like that so much. And again, like I said, with toddlers, I tend to not put any weight in, because the last thing you want is them to be sitting up and looking older than a newborn, and then the head flops down and you can't support it. So now I'm putting on the head, and I'm just tightening the cable tie in increments. I want to make sure that I don't over tighten it too fast, because I want to make sure that the head can move freely, but not to the point where it will fall off. And I just do this, like I said, in increments until I'm happy with the position. And I was going to put her off to the side. You can see me looking at her now, putting her away, so I can do Sakura, because I did actually film stuffing Sakura's body as well, but I figured since it's the same thing, that I would cut that out to make sure that this video is not any longer than it already is. So we're going straight back to Gemma in this clip here. I am now cutting off her cable ties, ensuring that her limbs are where I want them to be now that her body is fully made. So her legs are secured, her arms can still move after I am done tightening them to the point where I feel they are for that specific doll, and then just checking the head again one last time to make sure that everything is in place before I cut them off. And then once you cut off those cable ties, you look for a time. I tend to have my phone as close as possible so I can find out what the time is, because technically that is when your baby is reborn. You've got nothing more to do on it except take photos. And this baby has been reborn now for a few days, I think almost a week. She has been really sweet for my sister. She's really enjoyed her. My sister is now at a point where she is a teenager, so she definitely takes a lot of care of her babies now. She used to play a lot with them, and I still make them as play dolls for her, being autistic. They are a therapy doll for her, but she is definitely a lot more careful with her babies, and this one is going to be well loved, I can tell. So that is basically what it is to make up a baby. I know it's a bit all over the place. I don't normally do it in this order because I normally have everything beside me, but we were losing out on some time with the stockings not being here. I hope you enjoyed the video all the same and picked up some details of what it's like to make up a baby. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'll have a new video sometime very soon, and I hope you have a good day. Bye everyone.